Great. It's such a fantastic and lovely day out here finally in the Midwest. I thought I'd do this episode of Jay Today on the outside in the backyard here, kind of hanging out a little bit. So you may have heard the saying in the past, first thing you got to do is break all the rules. And it's popular in the entrepreneurial set and people who kind of want to go their own way and strike out their own path and say, what anybody's done in the past is unnecessary. I got a new plan. In fact, there's a book that's popularized that term called First Break All the Rules from 1999 from Marcus Buckingham. But, I don't know that concept of breaking all the rules necessarily holds true. It definitely doesn't hold true all the time. I can promise. I've hardly ever told this story, certainly not on Facebook and not as an episode of Jay Today, so I thought I'd do it today. So about 7 years ago, I'm on a flight and I'm going from Phoenix to Boston. This is back when I lived in Arizona. And it's a long flight. That's about as far as you can go. It's 5 hours, something like that. And I'm sitting on the aisle, as I used to do. I'm sitting on the window now, but back then I was an aisle man. And across the aisle from me, right, there's a lady sitting across the aisle from me, and she gets on and she has a dog with her. And so that's not super, noteworthy. But she's holding the dog, a small dog, as has to fit in the seat. All right, got a little too far away from the house there, so I'll stick over here. So anyway, lady sits down next to me. She's got a dog. So she's holding the dog. As we're getting ready to take off, puts the dog back in the crate under the seat. Well, we are taking off, and the landing gear is still down. I look over next to me. She has removed the dog. Flight attendant sees this and goes on the intercom, ma'am, you need to put your animal back in the crate. She's like, well, he's never flown before, and I think he's scared, and I'm not sure that he can breathe in his dog crate. And so we're like, well, okay, that's bizarre, but whatever. So she's holding the dog, and the flight attendant keeps coming on the intercom, ma'am, please, you need to put your animal away. She won't do it. Well, then the dog leaps out of her arms, okay, and starts running up and down the aisle of the airplane. It's all scared. It's like cowering. It's darting in and out of people. This is as the flight is still taking off. Then the dog decides it's time to poop. All dog diarrhea. Now, you have never seen a more interesting sight than an entire airplane full of passengers where a dog is sick. Now, this is an enclosed space. It is incredibly disgusting. People are chasing the dog. The flight attendants are up out of their seats. They're running up and down the aisles like some sort of Benny Hill episode. And what happens? The dog decides to come to rest right underneath my seat. So finally, they fish the dog out. Everybody looks around and is like, hey, did that just happen? That's the craziest thing ever. Now, the flight attendants have the very unenviable task of cleaning this up, right? So they got to take the tiny little cocktail napkins, and they're like dabbing up dog poop all up and down the aisles. People are literally, I'm not kidding, people are dry heaving in the plane, right? Because, it's dog poop, and it's a small space. People are like, whoa! And so the flight attendants have this like crazy bottle of like super strength Renuzit that they use that apparently cleans up those kind of things. So after quite a commotion, everything settles down. John, the dog was not very big. It was like a rat terrier sized dog. So, it fit. It was under the seat in front of you sized dog. So after all that happens, we kind of, now we've got another 3 hours of flight to go. We're like, wow, I can't believe that. So now we're on final approach to Boston's Logan Airport. And wouldn't you know it, we look over, landing gear is now down. The lady decides to take the dog out again because the dog is concerned, the dog is scared, the dog is nervous. The exact same thing happens again. She takes the dog out, jumps out of her arms, runs up and down the aisles and poops as the plane is landing. So now people have to get their carry-on bags and walk out of the plane dodging like piles of dog excrement like some kind of worst game of Twister ever invented. So I actually checked bags for this trip, which doesn't happen very often. It was a long trip. So I go to bag claim, and there she is with the dog, and everybody's giving her like the stink eye, like, I can't believe you did this. Why wouldn't you not just leave your dog in the crate? So that is among the craziest things I've ever seen on an airline. And certainly a circumstance, I think, where breaking the rules is not warranted. Like, everybody knows if you have a dog on a plane, especially if that dog is not a service animal, if it's in the crate, you're not supposed to take the dog out. You're not supposed to hold the dog. You're not supposed to let the dog run loose. And you're certainly not supposed to allow or tolerate the dog pooping up and down the aisles, not just once, but twice. So remember, Next time you think, you know what, these rules don't apply to me, I know better, I've got a new plan, I've got a new way. Remember this dog. That's my lesson for today here on this outdoor episode of Jay Today. Man, it is really something out here. Thanks as always to Emma for supporting the Jay Today program. Hope you guys have a fantastic day.